It is Editors on Radio X. It is No Harm, the opening track to the brand new album In Dream, which is going to get the Exposure album playback treatment tonight. I'm John Kennedy, and with me is Tom Smith from Editors. Welcome.
Hello.
It's great to see you.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. I'm excited because the album comes out at midnight, and we're playing you the whole thing before and kind of after midnight with your help.
Yeah, it's cool. On a Friday. What's happened?
I know. Well, the world's a different place. It's all different around here.
It's Friday night.
So No Harm really was our first, I mean, it's not only the opening track, but it was our first taste of this new record.
It was, yeah. It was the first thing that people heard. We put it out in a slightly sneaky way, and we made a nice video for it and put it out as the first thing. It wasn't like, it's not like a radio song, really.
Yeah.
It was just to give our fan base something to...
But it kind of snuck out on a sampler for PS.
Yeah, we said it was out there and go and find it, and eventually some people did. And we're at that point now because we don't have to come back straight away with a big radio single. You know, we can do things like that and kind of engage our fan base slightly differently. And, you know, the time for radio songs will come, but it's nice to kind of show that other side of the band in such a, you know, forthright way.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It's important, you know. It's important. We're not just, you know, this record especially, half of it's quite brooding like this song, and half of it's a bit shinier and poppier. But yeah, we'll get onto that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, and it's intriguing and exciting for anybody who's interested in Editors or any other band who play these kind of surprise games in a way. Just because it's and people get really excited about how and where and will they be able to get hold of it. No.
Yeah, I think to spark imagination, to give people something to talk about, even if they don't like the song, you know, at least there's an interest to, like, you know, reignite, Editors, you know what I mean? So, ideally, you know, the fan base hear it and go, wow, this is amazing, what a cool way of giving us this song.
Yeah, totally. And quite surprised. I mean, obviously, for many years, Editors have used electronics and used them dramatically well. But that piece, No Harm, is something else again, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's very minimal, and it's it's very electronic. I mean, especially off the back of the last record we made, which was very guitar led. Kind of had to be, really. We didn't really have a choice with that one. Not that I'm not proud of that record. I'm very proud of it, lots of it. But, you know, we had to make it that way because we were kind of forming a new band. But this one now kind of picks up where the third record left off.
Yeah.
And even on our debut record, which brought us to people's attention, and I think, you know, 80% of it is kind of guitar and kind of post-punk, wiry kind of sound. But there's still songs on that first record that I think signpost to the type of band that we've become now. Things like Camera and Distance are very electronic, you know.
Yeah. It's
always been there. But certainly, yeah, with this song now, it's No Harm is very bare and very electronic.
Yeah, totally. I mean, as you say, it does hark back to the third album, particularly the second CD that came with the third album, which I really liked. I mean, that was quite hard to track down, that edition of the album, but it was worth trying to track it down.
There's
because
some stuff on there, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I really like that stuff, and I was surprised. I mean, not surprised when I knew what had happened, but surprised that the next album didn't continue down that vein.
Yeah, well, we tried to make it. We started off going down that way, you know, with Chris, but after, you know, a year and a half of trying and not getting there, it was, we had to have a rethink.
Yeah. So what was the approach this time round then? Where did you go? How long did you give yourselves?
Well, we went to Scotland to make the record, and you know, over last year, which we were still touring, but in the gaps between touring, I was writing. So we had a pile of songs. I think our last shows were in September, maybe even later than that, actually, thinking about it. But we ended up going...
September 2014.
Yeah. So really not very long after we'd stopped touring, because I had this pile of songs, instead of what we would normally do, we would go to Birmingham and rehearse the songs. We would develop them over weeks, months, travelling backwards and forwards to Birmingham, kind of working a working week, really. You know, only one member of the band still lives in Birmingham. And,
is it Ed or Russell?
It's Russell. Who still lives there in Moseley. So, I mean, there's still the heart of the band. Our management is there, and our gear lives there. But yeah, so when we do that, we kind of, most of us commute, and that's fine. It's worked very well up until this point. But it felt like with this set of songs and this time, it's like, well, let's just do it differently this time. Let's instead of doing all that rehearsing, let's just go somewhere. We kind of know what we're doing. Let's take a Pro Tools rig and develop the songs. rehearse them, record them at the same time. There wasn't really we weren't defining what we were doing. We certainly, to start with, we didn't know what we were going to end up with, but just go somewhere, live there, ideally somewhere beautiful and inspiring, somewhere remote, not too remote, but remote enough to escape from all those kind of distractions. And so we ended up going to Scotland, took all of our gear, took Pro Tools rig, and just worked on the tunes there. We did 2 sessions, 3.5 weeks, came home for Christmas, realised that what we were doing was good enough to make the record, went back out there in the new year and finished it.
Fantastic. That makes it sound so simple. But was this place a studio, or was it just an abode? Was it a house?
A
castle?
We do like Scotland. I have a Scottish wife. Our guitarist spends a lot of time in there filming Scottish indie bands in the Highlands. You know, if you're an indie band and got a beard, he's filmed you. It made sense that I just basically Googled Scottish rehearsal rooms. And this place came up, which wasn't a rehearsal room. It was a place that predominantly has weddings. And it's about 3 or 4 hours drive from Glasgow on the west coast. But you could sleep there, and there was a big room where we could set up all our stuff, and it looked beautiful from the Google image I saw.
Right.
So it was a bit of a leap of faith in some respects, but we like I said, took all our stuff up there, and this place they set it up as an artist retreat. It is stunning, but that doesn't pay the bills, so they have weddings there. You know?
Right, I see what you mean.
So we swan in and we hire it for nearly a month, and then another month later on, and I guess it was being used for what they wanted it to be used for in the start with, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And probably a good time of the year for them, because the weddings are mainly in the summer.
The weather, the winter up in Scotland there was just... Well, it's phenomenal. Yeah, you get it all within the space of a minute. You know?
Right.
And the live room, it was an enormous room where we were all set up, and there's a window from, one of the walls was a window overlooking the hill that went down to the ocean. Across the ocean, you saw the island of Jura and Islay, and you would just see this weather just rolling over you. The room would rattle, and it really was. It was picture perfect, really.
Yeah, fantastic. And the place is called Crear, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Amazing. So that's where you recorded these 2 sessions.
Yep.
And then the album was kind of done.
It was done, yeah.
So all recorded there.
Yeah, all done. I mean, after the first session, because, a lot of the songs went to a place that we thought was really good. Some of them didn't, but the ones that were in a good space, we had 2 or 3 were like, well, these to our ears at this moment in time sound like, well, what would a producer do at this point, So we thought about, well, let's find someone to mix them, and then make the decision if we need to then go to a producer or start again or whatever. And we sent them to Alan Moulder, just 2 of the songs, and then so we heard that we got those back before Christmas, and hearing them then, we realised that okay, when we go back, we can do this ourselves now. This not that maybe we'll work with a producer again. It wasn't like a defined career move, but it worked out that way, and.
Has Alan worked on your stuff before?
No, amazingly. He seems like the perfect guy, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I'm
even
really
when
surprised.
We made our Flood record.
Yeah, I was thinking normally they come as a pair, don't they?
Yeah,
Flood and Moulder.
They often do.
Yeah.
He's kind of king of that dark rock or dark indie rock or dark kind of electronic rock as well. He's a genius, and it's just the right amount of grit and polish, and he gets what we do. And so straight away we heard those songs back. It was like, well, look, this is going to work. So let's get this thing finished and get going again. Yeah,
that's great. So we just heard No Harm. Where did that come in the creativity?
It's a very important one, actually. It's probably the most important in terms of our collective understanding of what we were making up there. It was the second song we did, and the first one went okay. Didn't go great, but we got to a point after a couple of days, we go, let's move on, this isn't really working. And we started No Harm. And, you have those moments when you're making a record where things click into focus. When you start to understand what you're doing, and maybe not why you're doing it, but what you're doing. And, we don't go to record with a set destination in mind. We don't talk about this is going to be our electronic record, this is going to be a rock record. It kind of works its way out. It finds us in many ways, and we're not very good at talking to each other, really. We prefer to talk about other things rather than music. So in this song, as we were developing this, Ed was using a lot of drum machines, mainly because his actual drum kit was in the corner of the room, but in this room it was so loud. It was so, when if he was playing his drum kit, we couldn't really work because it was just too loud. We had a PA and stuff, but you know, to work comfortably, you need to hear things and hear each other. So very early on, he just started using drum machines, and this loop for No Harm came about, and Elliot was playing with his keyboards and this kind of repetitive, descending synth riff, and the song started to form its personality. It's amazing what a drum machine can do for a personality of a song. It's amazing how much vibe and kind of just ambience it can give off just from a very simple thing.
Yeah, and especially when you think it shouldn't have anything like that. It shouldn't have a drum machine shouldn't have a personality.
Absolutely, yeah. So some of those old things, you know, the little crackles and the pops that they produce, they have a lot of personality. Yeah, so that kind of like from that little box, the vibe of this song. And I remember like after we'd been going around the chords and we worked out the middle eight because that wasn't quite formed, and the vibe kind of amplified and kind of, you know, enveloped the room, if that's the right word. And as it started to get dark out the window, you know, the relationship to like that kind of pretty cosmic and pretty amazing view out the window and this music that we were making suddenly seemed to be intertwined slightly. And I think we all went, oh, okay, this is the kind of vibe of the keyboards, vibe of the kind of way of working that this is what we're doing here. So it was very important.
Yeah, interesting. And so that was the second one that you had been working on, and the first that you thought, right, we're kind of in this. We know what we're
this
doing.
is this is done. We don't need to do this again. This is the way this one needs to be.
So Ocean of Night is the next song.
Yep.
Which does follow No Harm on the album really nicely, starting with the piano, keyboard, and then kind of builds up, and it also introduces another voice.
Yeah, Rachel's on this one. Yeah.
So this is Rachel Goswell from Slow Dive.
Yeah.
I know. I should confess that I know that you share management, don't you? Slow Dive.
We do now. Yeah, obviously.
Okay. You didn't necessarily at the time.
We did when we did this. Yes, yeah. But not when Slow Dive were first going. Funny because our management used to play as Slow Dive. We used to listen to Slovaki in the tour van at the time when we were first touring the Backroom, before the Backroom was released. It was their favourite record and our sound man's favourite record. So I remember vividly sitting in the back of this. It's called the PFB. It was just this like hire company van that we did those first tours with. Didn't even have a table in it. It was just, you know, like everyone facing the same way, you know. But we used to listen to that record quite a lot. And because it's slightly before my time.
Yes, well, yeah, indeed.
The things that I kind of turned me onto music in some ways kind of were the reason that they kind of, you know, that when Britpop arrived, it kind of destroyed Slow Dive for some reasons. Obviously they kept doing other things. But yeah, so I was very, very interested to hear when they came back, and we're doing some shows last couple of years. And you're right, our management are involved now with them too. But we were hanging out and we found that Rachel was a fan. Had all of our records, which was quite surprising.
Yeah.
It was nice to hear. And we talked about getting a girl singing on an editor's record a few times over the years. Never found the right person or had the right song. Especially on that, on the third record with Flood. We're talking about that a lot, but it never happened. So, we were hanging out with Rachel, and just thought, well, let's, you know, do you want to come and hang out for a bit in Scotland? Because I knew that a lot of these songs I was exploring my voice slightly differently. I was singing verses low, and some of the choruses very high in my falsetto voice. And I was really kind of enjoying the way that was making my writing go. So I knew that there was a space in some of these songs where Rachel could become this character that the falsetto voice is. So in the song The Law, which is the one that's only kind of like a duet, which we'll talk about later, she becomes that character. But while she was with us hanging out, she sang a few backing vocals as well. And in Ocean of Night, they're quite prominent and quite important as well now, quite melodic. And she's got a wonderful voice. It's a wonderful texture, and it's a wonderfully kind of angelic and slightly spooky quality. And it's a bit of a buzz really to have her involved and hanging out, and as long as she had gin, she was happy. She won't mind me saying that.
So, and it's our first taste of Rachel on the album because she, as you say, she features later on. So how did Ocean of Night come about? I mean, after the gentle introduction, I mean, it really does build.
Yeah, I mean, this is, for the want of a better word, a kind of editor's party song.
Well, it's kind of the house. There's almost like later there's this kind of a slightly slower house piano motif.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that influences in there, and we like a lot of different types of music. We don't just sit around listening to Joy Division, which surprises some people. We
I don't believe.
Yeah, and be it, I don't know, Neil Schramm record or a John Hopkins record or other stuff. I mean, Russell especially, lots of electronic music. But so those influences do filter in, and so you're right. This has kind of a lazy house feel to it, and those big piano chords over the simple kick drum. But it was interesting with this song is the way the kind of like the extra rhythms evolved and became a key part of it in that kind of almost kind of carnival, lots of kind of percussion and counter rhythms and claps, and we've tried a lot to try to get a song like that before. Probably inspired by I was listening to it last night, actually. I've not listened to it for ages. The last broadcast, and There Goes the Fear by Doves, that kind of like rolling kind of groove, quite Manchester in a way, as well. Yeah. And so yeah, that kind of, we wanted to inject a bit of that vibe into this song. Cheesily, I am sitting there looking over the ocean, playing these piano chords. But I don't care, there's nothing wrong with it.
So that's where Ocean of Night comes from.
Well, to be fair, the lyrics were written before.
Right.
But, it does strangely, puts everything into focus. Comes slightly more significant, obviously, when you just sat there looking at the ocean playing this song. But the song is a kind of like a Friday night song. It's kind of getting about being lost in a moment and going out with your mates. And like I said, it's an editor's party tune, which makes me smile.
And I think it'll make everybody smile right now. This is it. Editors, Ocean of Night on Radio X. You're listening to Exposure on Radio X. My name is John Kennedy, and that is Editors with Forgiveness. It's the third track on the brand new album, In Dream, unleashed at midnight tonight. And Tom from Editors is here talking us through it track by track. Forgiveness, third track. Kind of after the Editors party tune, you kind of slow things down again.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah. Although there's a strong, there's a strong Depeche Mode element to this, and a couple of other songs, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly an influence. I remember after our second record, hearing Violator for the first time, and that informed what we did with our third record in many ways. It was an introduction. It was the gateway drug to electronic music for me, and Flood, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, there is some of that influence here. But this song is also the only song on the record which is led by guitar. Because there's not that many guitars on it. So I think maybe if you liked... To me, it reminds me slightly of old school Editors as well.
Well, the bass line has that kind of feel to it, I think.
But...
and there's this big... obviously the title is Forgiveness, but you sing Forgiveness in a typically Tom big way.
Yeah, it's got a big chorus. It's got, it's got melody. It's got, like I said, there's some of the songs are quite brooding and for us quite minimal, but this and half the others are quite immediate, and there are attempts at writing pop music. We like to try to go to those melodic immediate places too. Obviously it gets warped and skewed as it goes through the band and our tastes and things like that, and that's how it gets interesting to us. But so Forgiveness is a pop song. Lyrically, it's pretty dark. Yes.
Is it? What is the line? Forgiveness makes fools of us. Is it?
Pretty much. Yeah, of all of us.
Right.
Which which is a pretty grim thing to say. And I wouldn't get it tattooed on me. I don't think it every day.
Right, but there are moments. Well, yeah, sure. I know what you're saying. There are moments when you feel.
I think everybody. I've always liked the contradiction of having something quite serious and dark, if you will, lyrically combined with an uplifting, rousing melody or, the chorus. And, this is a long, the latest in a long line of Editor songs which I kind of do that. I kind of like that kind of, that thing. And, but like I said, I don't think that all the time, but I think everybody has gone through some kind of suffering or hurt or has demons, you know what I mean? It's like those things affect everybody, but I'm not always that way, quite often I wake up and see the joy in my life, and I have a very lovely life. I'm very happy, but I don't believe you have to be happy to write a happy song or sad to write a sad song. I just think you have to go somewhere interesting and go somewhere that you feel comfortable and what you want to sing about and let it flow.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is interesting though, because obviously that ends up being quite a big statement, because so much of our teachings suggest that forgiveness is a good thing, and that we should learn to forgive and be able to forgive. Yeah. So for anybody really to say or suggest that actually maybe no is quite a big thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think you're not going to go through life without getting let down at some point, are you? But like I said, it's not a code for living. It's a song.
Just it's a song. It's a moment in time. And then you follow it with salvation, which, I mean, forgiveness and salvation, they're two themes that work well together.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole religion based on this. You know, if not just, there's probably more than one religion based on that. But yeah, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, you know, like I touched on that, you know, I do like to go to weighty places lyrically, you know?
That's what we want from editors, though, I think.
You know, in some ways you become the thing you create as well. You know, it wouldn't sound right if I was singing about dance floors and, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It wouldn't ring true coming out of my mouth. And, you know, I like to go to those kind of, like I say, weighty places lyrically sometimes, but over the years, as you realise that, you know, I'm you know, I'm not saying everybody likes it, but I'm good at doing that type of thing. So, you know, that you kind of like this character that is part of you, but not just you. You start to understand, and with salvation, which is very over the top, you know, he's biblical, you know, in its imagery. I'm an atheist, you know. I do like that imagery, though. I do like that kind of, that kind of euphoric feeling you can have in songs when it kind of deals with those kind of enormous things that you can't really describe. So with Salvation, which is the record that it's most over the top, which is its most anthemic, even though it's quite a slow, pacey song for most of it, but it just seemed to be right, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
The song's quite, you know, it's kind of like this weird, like dark pop song as well.
But the strings give it a kind of lightness.
Yeah, it's got a strange, like, R&B kind of feel to me as well, which is a bit odd. It felt like we were doing something we've not done before.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it sounds great. This is it. It is Editors with Salvation on Radio X. Editors, Life is a Fear on Exposure, Radio X, getting the Exposure album playback treatment tonight. In Dream, the brand new album in full with Tom from the band talking us through it track by track. Track number 5, Life is a Fear. I mean, again, we're talking about big statements. I mean, now sometimes when I look at them standing alone, Life is a Fear, I mean, seems like a really big statement in itself.
Yeah, yeah. It's still a disco song at the same time, so it kind of... There's a certain... disco music quite often sings sad lyrics, doesn't it?
Oh, totally, yeah. Yeah.
That's what's wonderful about lots of it. Yeah, I mean, this is the first kind of radio song.
Yeah. So it's the recent single. It's just come out. And, you know, hopefully it will be the kind of thing that will attract a lot of people to listen to this new record.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of... it's one of those more accessible moments, you know, like a single, you know, whatever that is these days. But he does have there's 2 songs on this record that have a bit more kind of that kind of, the energy that's within the track is kind of disco feeling, and that kind of like, you know, arpeggiated bass line and the falsetto vocal in the chorus as well. We've never, people called All Sparks dark disco back in the day, I remember that. So it's always been there. Yeah. Reminds me of David Bowie, this one, a little bit. The melody and some of the keyboard sounds.
And what are you trying to get across lyrically then? Life is a Fear. What's the line that follows that?
I'm falling through all the cracks. Yeah, you know, it's obviously it's an anxiety song.
But I mean, to live life, you need to put yourself out there. You need to
face your fears.
You do, yes.
You do.
Challenge yourself.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to go outside your front door. Sometimes it'd be easier if you could just keep it shut. Yeah. So, there's a bit of that in this song, definitely.
Yeah.
That kind of, you know, worries of the modern world. No, maybe not modern world, just the world.
Yeah. And it definitely takes the pace of the album back up.
Yeah.
And like so much of what you do, you know, it kind of has that contradiction. So it has a lightness to it, but a darkness at the.
It's quite breezy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
was it? Where did it come in the whole process in
I'm trying
Crear?
to think now. This was. I think this might have been one that we kind of attacked on the first session, then went back and finished in the second session. I think maybe after something like We'd Done Our Love, which is the other disco song. So this is its disco brother, darker disco brother. And I think just once we got that bass kind of line sorted out, because Russell was playing his proper bass for a lot of it to start with, and it wasn't really sitting right. And I think when Ed came up, when the pre-chorus kind of sorted itself out, it gave the kind of the whole song this little skip, and it's like, okay, this is clicking into focus, you know. And but I think it was about kind of mid in the time frame.
Yeah. And then you follow Life as a Fear with The Law, which you mentioned earlier on, and this features Rachel from Slow Dive again. Again, I mean, I mentioned Depeche Mode. I had to mention it again, but I think they're such a, you know, particularly with this song, they're such a reference point in a way, and it's great that their influence lives on, and it's a kind of inspires new generations, because I think, as you were describing earlier on, when you heard Violator had such a big impact on you, and I think that is the power of a great band, is that they kind of change people's
legacy,
perception of what music is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. They're also quite often poked fun at as well, especially in this country, which is always found quite strange. But so yeah, I mean, this song, I can hear a bit of that. It's kind of got a bit of you know, it's the more brooding side. It starts being a bit more experimental as well, you know, with the way that song feels, and a bit kind of, I don't know, Portishead-y as well, you know, in some ways.
How low is that bass? The bass sound in it? Is that a keyboard?
Which bit? You mean in the verse?
There's a bit. I thought, God,
there's a lot of keyboard sub bass involved. Yeah. Also, we'll get some low end out of the piano as well.
Right.
The chords and the, you know. But like, to me, this song, The Law, like No Harm, actually, when I was writing that, I was the one that was singing the chorus to start with. The lyrics were slightly different, but essentially it was the same. But it was from the same person. But you know, I felt like the verses were this kind of angry character, almost this kind of man, you know, bubbling up, propping up the bar, ready to explode. And then this chorus, falsetto vocal, or Rachel in The Law, is this other character. This is this kind of calming influence. This kind of, could be a lover, could be just the voice of his conscience, you know. And that's like, I see there's two characters singing this song. And so it's the only one on the record where Rachel takes almost a lead vocal. It's almost a duet. There is another song that really nearly made the record, which will be on the bonus version, called Oh My World, which again is more like a duet like this one. It was just an amazing moment, really, when she sang that chorus for the first time and we realised it was going to work. Spine tingling.
Did you do any singing together at the same time?
It was one by one. Well, we were kind of working things out together, but it wasn't, you know, two mics staring at each other.
Yeah.
It's not I Got You, Babe, is it? You know? I don't think it's really appropriate for this one.
Well, who am I to say such things? But I'm just interested in terms of how you go about this. I mean, were the lyrics all ready for Rachel to?
I tweaked them slightly when I realised I was going to try and only subtle things. Just, you know, in essence it was the same, but subtle things, little words here and there that made it apparent that these were two different characters.
And what was that like, sharing your lyrics with someone who was going to sing them, someone else who was going to sing them?
I didn't worry too much about it. She made it all quite easy in many ways, you know. It was I mean, just the whole vibe up there, and the five of us working, then when there were six of us working, there was no like egos or worries or ever. It was quite an open forum, very open forum. It was a good time, because it's not the way we've always worked. You know, first two records, it was a different way of working. Me and Chris were the kind of important ones, and that's the way it was then. But it has changed now. So with Rachel in, it was just an extension of that, and I think having her around, and it was just cool, you know, like, yeah, we're not that precious. We just tried things. Some things worked, some things didn't, you know.
But in terms of the words that you sing, do you share them with the rest of the band first, or do you just, you know, you've worked out a tune, you're singing a melody, there are some words, do they say, right, Tom, what have you actually said here?
No, they don't. They don't. They've not yet. Anyway,
so that's what I mean.
Questioned or like just never really commented, really. Apart from if they really like something,
yeah,
they'll mention it. They'll say that, you know, that's a good one. But yeah, I don't know. Like, obviously, I think lyrics by committee never really works. I think that's just an acceptance, and it's just the way, you know, the band is, really. I guess that the lyrics are from me, and that's it, really. And everyone does the music, you know, and that's just the way it is. It's cool with it, you know.
Yeah. But that's what I was wondering about, you know, having to share your words with another person. It could be quite a different kind of thing.
We're all quite, you know, in some ways, when it comes to music, and especially talking about our own music, we're all quite awkward and socially awkward about it, you know. But there's an understanding that, you know, even if they don't really know or like what I'm singing, maybe, some people will, you know, like, not every, you know, songs don't have a beginning, middle, and end. They're you know, my songs, they're not theses, or whatever, is that the way we say it? I don't know. But you know, they're words. Some of them mean a lot, and some of them are kind of like the rest of the story around that word that means a lot, you know. And I think they just understand that, and it's just the way we are, really. But yeah, with Rachel, it wasn't weird. It was cool.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice that you had that chemistry between you and Rachel and the whole band, you know, working in that way. Because I mean, especially because you are an entity in your own right, editors.
Yeah.
You are a group of people who've worked together for a while.
10 years, 10 years in since the first record, but longer than that. Yeah.
So for an outsider, in a way, to come in could have been difficult.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other two had that on the last record because they were outsiders, and then another outsider this one. Yeah.
But maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. Well, it feels good at the moment, you know.
Be full-blown choirs and all sorts next time. But in the meantime, this is Editors with The Law on Exposure, Radio X. It is Editors on Exposure Radio X with Our Love, the 7th track from the brand new album In Dream. And I have Tom here tonight. I'm John Kennedy. Tom Smith is here from Editors, talking us through it track by track. Don't Stop Believing. Is that, have I heard that right?
Don't Start Believing.
Don't Start. It's the opposite. See, this is why when I listen to these records, I make little notes, and then halfway through I'm thinking, I'm not sure.
It's the atheist in me again.
But it's a good thing I get to actually ask you specifically, so don't start believing. So that does tie in more with what you were saying. No. But it could be read either way.
But to be honest, I would imagine if people are going to sing along to this, they will sing Don't Stop Believing. Is it Journey? Is that there?
Very possibly. It sounds right.
Which I quite liked. There was a conversation. Actually, you know, we talked about like conversations about lyrics. There was a conversation about this one because when people hear it, they do hear Don't Start Believing. And I was like, well, yeah, I couldn't really... No, they hit Don't Stop Believing. Sorry, I got it the wrong way around. This is how I'm wired. I could never sing Don't Stop Believing. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't work. But this, I don't know, it sends out signals to your brain when I'm singing Don't Start Believing, and I think everyone's going to sing Don't Stop Believing. But perhaps it's all Journey's fault. But I quite liked the lyrics that I'd written, you know. And the fact it might confuse people and or just make people make mistakes. I quite liked that, you know. So it was a little bit of a talk, but I think we all liked the lyrics, so we stuck with it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, but it's easy to understand why you might think the opposite, because it's quite a euphoric song. When you're talking about Editors' moments on the dance floor, and Our Love is a great example of that.
Yeah, it's the other kind of disco number, and we're at the little corner of the record now with Our Love and the next song, All the Kings, which I think they're us pushing harder than we've ever pushed before, our pop buttons in some ways. I'm not saying that these are, going to be big radio songs, but they're very immediate. They're very bright, very melodic. There's less darkness in them, even though I sing that dark lyric.
Yeah.
There is less darkness in these songs. Even the production on Our Love, in some ways it sounds quite modern for us. I don't quite know how we did that when, we were kind of producing blindfolded, but the falsetto vocal all the way through on this one, which is not something I do that often. And I remember playing it on the piano for the guys in the room, and I can sing it in the low octave and the high octave, and I wasn't sure what to do. And they said you should sing it high because it sounds kind of spookier and creepier. And so it was their fault. And just building up this kind of slightly spooky disco track that at the end explodes into this kind of Technicolor, epic, don't start believing outro.
Yeah.
It's fun in some ways.
Yeah, totally. I don't know with you. It reminded me of Bronski Beat.
Well, yeah, that's the big influence. Yeah, I mean, we do like a lot of records from that era. Small Town Boy, or even like kind of Yazoo stuff, or even like Dare. It's a great record. We love that record.
All classics. But I mean, Bronski Beat are a band who, they have been revived a tad, and their songs do live on, but because they existed for a short period of time, they're as a group, as somebody who that people will remember and recognise as a group of people who made this certain sound, they kind of get a bit discarded, which is a shame. Yeah. So it's great that you're tapping into that,
into my inner Jimmy.
Jimmy Somerville, brilliant. That's great. But I'm enjoying the disco moments of editors. Yeah. I'm all for it.
So are we. Like I said, we like that kind of energy and that feel. And when I sing, it's funny when I sing like this for such a long period in a song, it does feel like I'm becoming a different character. It's a different thing for me, and that's quite cool. I was enjoying that. We all were, and. Yeah, I mean,
how easy is it to balance those two voices?
It's easy in the studio. It's easy, like singing. I can do it day to day. It's harder when you do gigs because that puts a different strain on your voice, especially when so much of the show I sing low. So then to switch in between the two is actually harder because I have this amount of material that is sung in a very different way. But in the studio, I like it. I was really enjoying writing that way as well. I was enjoying. When I sing in that voice, melodies came out differently, lyrics came out differently, So I felt like I was doing something that I'd not done before. And like I said before, on a fair few of the songs, not actually this one, this is all falsetto pretty much, but I was enjoying the contrast of having the low and then the high, so they felt like two characters. We always like to do things like we feel like we've not done before, or feel like we're stretching ourselves. And I do like... great pop singers. And then sometimes I feel like that is an element of bands or modern music that is less important these days sometimes. Like you see lots of popular acts and bands that, they're good, but is he a great singer? I'm not saying I'm a great singer, but I when you hear Boy George or even someone like Bono sing, those people have got just incredible voices. And with my voice, I'm trying to pull myself into different directions to try and just grow as a singer and see where I end up.
Yeah. I mean, it's great and it remains distinctively you, and it in turn lends a very distinct sound to what editors do, which is really vital, I think, and really important. From Our Love into All the Kings, which, as you said, is also upbeat and another pop moment on this record. This time with a kind of string or synth hook, or is it all created by the keyboard?
It's all keyboards, yeah. It's all. Is it anything natural? I think there might be a mandolin on this actually.
Oh wow!
In the second or the verse after the first chorus, but yeah, it's pretty synthetic. Yeah, I mean, just getting the kind of the groove, bouncing kind of keyboard riff with the kick drum. The song is in some ways like it's about being single. It's kind of a breakup song, but it's kind of about that kind of when you've gone through that, the empowering nature of kind of being on your own again. So there's like anthemic, empowering, a bit like. All the Single Ladies. Do you know what I mean? This is our version. Which, as I'm saying it out loud, I think sounds terrible for us to have a go at. But, that's lyrically where it's coming from. And the song has this kind of like marching, anthemic, rousing nature to it, which, lends itself to the lyric.
Oh, I'm really tempted to play them back to back now.
You should.
Single
Throw the
Ladies
rule book
is
out
such
window.
a tune that, if you play any clubs at all, you could bring it out, and it goes down so well. And wouldn't it be brilliant if you had one for the fellas?
All the single guys, yeah.
Fantastic. Could be all the Kings. It's interesting because your vocals are much more clear on this track as well.
Well, it's I mean, we very much let the song kind of be the front thing. Like you take a song. There's 100 ways you can take a song. When I write a song, there are different ways that we can do it, and sometimes we're guilty of putting too much on. We have been. It's all a taste thing, of course. But with this song, it felt like the melody was so kind of in your face and strong in some ways. It was like, let's have that that leads the song, really, and that and the kick drum, essentially. So yeah, I think that might be kind of what you're hearing, is how close the vocal is. It's leading the way.
Yeah, it's exciting. And this is it. It is Editors, All the Kings on Radio X. It is Editors at All Cost with the penultimate song on the brand new album In Dream, which has just come out and has been getting the Exposure album playback treatment tonight, with Tom from Editors talking us through it track by track, and Rachel again crops up on At All Cost. And after the excitement of Our Love and All the Kings, you bring it back down into a almost elegiac kind of feel to the record with At All Cost, I think.
Yeah, there's two songs on the record that were kind of played live, essentially. Because we went there just thinking to ourselves, well, that isn't important this time. The last record was just a band in a room playing, and that's the point, because we were trying to be a band, prove to ourselves we could be a band. So it's the way that record went. But with this one, we very much wanted to use the computer and make more of a studio record. So a lot of the songs were built up piece by piece. But this one and Forgiveness were played more, as a band together. So this one was, it's a slower, kind of sadder, more introspective moment, kind of capture a vibe and a late night kind of feel. So we did like 3 or 4 takes and picked the best one, and that was pretty much it, really. Very minimal. Let the song speak for itself. There was like the room, as it got dark, the daylight was such a strong influence on the room, because it's such an enormous window. So for the most of the day, it was such a sort of light, bright place.
Did it have curtains?
No. So
everybody,
you wouldn't want curtains if you was.
So all the people on Jura were there with their binoculars, trying to see Editors in the studio.
You would need good binoculars, but I mean, there was just no one there. There was just no one about. Really, it's just wasn't much danger of that. I mean, the sheep could see us, I suppose, but all
in the nude.
So when the sun went down, it was a very noticeable change in atmosphere in the room. Straight away. And then we put the fairy lights on the top, which were there for the weddings, and there's a very different vibe. And a lot of the kind of a lot of the moments that I remember in the recording were from that time of the day. Because through the daylight hours, you're kind of working and piecing it and working on ideas, but it kind of clicks more into focus, or things kind of happen more in the nighttime. Maybe you've had a couple of whiskeys, or so this was one of those I really remember, because we were playing, and it was dark, and it was a mood, and it was special. It's like it's nice when you collectively play at the same time and you capture something. You think this is. We couldn't. If we played it again, it would sound different,
Yeah. And was Rachel there for that recording?
No, this one. She was one of the pieces after for this one. She's like just a blanket on the end.
Yeah. The icing on the cake.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then you follow At All Cost with Marching Orders, which is a fantastically epic way to close the album, and a song that we're familiar with already, because it kind of was another kind of teaser that you put out there. And I love it. I mean, it's funny because on radio, obviously, we get sent a couple of versions of long tracks. So there was the full length, and there was a shorter version. Yeah. And I have played both, but I used to enjoy playing the full length version much more.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of, it was only because you started playing it that we had to do a single edit. That wasn't the plan. It was very nice that you started playing it, but it made us have to do the edit. and certainly when the song is nearly 8 minutes long, and essentially 3 songs in one, to edit it down, it's never going to be the most satisfying. But yeah, it's a real journey, really. You've got the first third is kind of slightly pretty, brooding kind of ballad. The band kind of takes over. It's not the only. I think it's the only bit on the record where there's actually acoustic, proper drums in the middle section of this. Kind of quite a choral, kind of uplifting band moment for a few minutes, and then as that breaks down, it kind of takes on a kind of club outro, and that was one of those late night moments as well, with the kind of cross rhythms and the big kick drum and the big synths, and kind of felt, you know, like something from Manchester. So yeah, really over the top, silly, but a lot of fun, and we've always liked music that, you know, doesn't take it too seriously, itself too seriously, but also, like, you know, just is daring and goes on a journey, you know. So this was us trying to do a bit of that, really.
Yeah, well, it certainly works. I mean, it's very rousing, and I think really involving. You know, you kind of get drawn in to the song and carried along by its momentum.
I hope so. You know, it's obviously over the course of a song so long, you want to keep people interested, you know. But it does have 3 very different personalities, so it's interesting the way it's all kind of fit together. And it wasn't written like that at all. I mean, the song I wrote was about a minute and a half long. So it really was the band, you know, exploring each other and kind of, you know, evolving as 5 people working on a tune. So it was very, very, very exciting to be a part of that and feel it grow.
Yeah, yeah. So any narrative that you had written into the original lyrics were, you know, was
it was confined to the first bit, really. The choral lyrics were kind of done just ad hoc there, you know, when that section grew, and they're trying to give more. It's just a repeat over the end, you know. It kind of made sense as the song developed. I mean, the song sounds like a breakup song, but it's not really. To me, it's more about it's not really about anything, but to me it feels like slightly kind of connected to the effect of time on love, how it kind of changes, and the acceptance of that. And, you know, on one hand it gets less exciting, but actually it's something warm and more rewarding as time goes on and you know each other better, you know. But calling it Marching Orders does make it sound a bit like a breakup song, but it's not really.
Yeah. Tom, it's been great to have you here.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for telling us about the new record. In Dream is what it's called. It is out now, and this is the final track. It is Editors with Marching Orders on Exposure Radio X.